Well, good morning. Happy Monday to you. It is the Monday, the 13th of October, and we are about halfway, almost halfway through October. We got a little bit of rain yesterday, and looks like we've got cloud cover this morning. This is remnants from this hurricane that came in over the last few days. I thought we'd get a whole lot more rain, but it appears that most of it went up to Phoenix, and that's okay because Phoenix could sure use the rain. I mean, we can use the rain also, but Phoenix could really use the rain. I remember there were times when I lived in Phoenix that the rain would come in big torrents, and this is definitely one of those times when the rain came in torrents. Apparently, they got a lot of flooding. I don't know if we got as much flooding here, and the day is young, so we could still get more flooding. Yeah, we got a bit of a downpour yesterday in the afternoon, and my understanding is there's another one coming today, and then we're back to clear skies and sun. And anyway, I hope you had a great weekend. Nothing really too exciting this weekend as far as on our part. Just a kind of a normal weekend, and let's see. Birthdays. We have no birthdays today. Is that right? Yeah, the next birthday is in about 3 days. So we'll close that out. And there was so there is there is a new technology that's kind of coming out. And I alluded to it in a sermon series that I did late last year, maybe it was earlier this year, talking about artificial intelligence. But one of the things that is perhaps coming out in the near future is an artificial intelligent car that will be able to drive you. The car is called a Tesla, and it's got camera vision and a very, very big, huge computer brain. And the question is, will it work? And I actually have used it, and I think it works pretty well. And I'm just so intrigued by this technology because if it happens, and I do believe that if it happens, we will be aware of this sometime within the next year, but quite possibly within the next month or two, where you will be able to get in your car and it will drive you from point A to point B. And there will be times when you'll be able to have to not look at the road. So if it's perhaps on an interstate, and as you're driving on the interstate, it seems like there's not a lot of traffic, the system will be able to say, okay, the conditions outside are enough to where you do not have to necessarily monitor the road. And you'd say, but I want to monitor the road because I'm better than a computer. Well, in some respects, you might be. But in other respects, the computer will be quicker, have more vision, have more cameras. And for example, how many times, this has happened to me a couple times, where you come across an animal in the road that's darting across the road or jumping into the road. And in traffic engineering, we call this PIEV, perception, intellect, emotive, and volition. Fancy Latin terms to you perceive the object, you think about it, and then you have a reaction to it. That's called perception reaction time. And typically for even the best of us, it's about 2 seconds. But in a computer, the reaction time is a fraction of a clock cycle of a computer. So that 2 seconds, the car can slow down a considerable amount if it needs to. And so I do believe that we will shortly be at a point where this type of technology will be much, much, much safer than a human driver, which has tremendous implications for just about everything that we do in our society for the last 100 years. The way we built our communities prior to the automobile, we had people living very, very, very close together because you had to walk everywhere. Um, and then we built the automobile, and we were able to spread out communities. And it will be interesting to see what this technology will do for people where they no longer have to manage the driving task. Like what will society look like? And I do believe that this is happening no matter what. I do believe that it will save road lives. I believe that it will bring down the cost of transportation. And I don't know to what extent this will happen in my lifetime, but I do believe that we are in the cusp and the beginning of a new era for mankind. And I'm very, 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 very intrigued by the whole thing. Let me put it that way. I'm extremely intrigued by the whole thing. For example, let's say that you can't drive. Let's say that you're 90 years old and you can't drive, and you can't afford to have somebody like an Uber come pick you up and take you to where you want to go. What would this mean if an automated vehicle can come and pick you up and take you to where you want to go and then deliver you back to home? What will that mean for people who can't drive? Because it will because the human cost of driving is such a large part of the cost that if you can eliminate or pretty much substantially reduce that, and all it is gas and automobile costs, it'll definitely bring the cost down to half, maybe even a fourth of what it is with an Uber. And what will that mean? Will people even own cars anymore? You're probably wondering why I'm asking all these questions. Well, it's just because there are people in my life that are getting to the point where they can't drive anymore. And I'm just curious to if this technology is going to happen before they can't drive anymore. That's all. I was thinking about that before the show. Also, on Friday or on Thursday, right after the show, the computer asked if I wanted to update my software. And normally I won't do it right before a show because sometimes you can get a glitch. So this was no different. After the show, I said, okay, now I'll update the software. It turned out that it was a major update, and I had to update everything. It took me hours to completely update. So I am excited that it's working this morning because I wasn't sure if it was going to be working this morning. Oh my goodness. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Every software update, this will be the problem for autonomous vehicles, is the software updates could cause glitches. And let's hope that the glitches don't hurt people. So let's go ahead and get into our study. We are in Numbers chapter 1. And God has asked Moses to go and count all the people by their tribes. And the total number that we saw from our last episode was 603,550. That is what is recorded in the book of Numbers. But what I didn't really focus on was verse 45. Let me just read verses 44 through 46 again. And I just wanted to talk about something. These were the men counted by Moses and Aaron and the 12 leaders of Israel, each one representing his family. All the Israelites 20 years old or more who were able to serve in Israel's army were counted according to their families. The total number was 6,550. So this was an attempt to find out how many people we have to determine the strength of an army. So even though they are in the wilderness, in the desert, wandering for 40 years, they still can be attacked by foreign invasions. And so God directs Moses to count all the number of able-bodied men, 20 years and older, to find out if there was an army, how much of an army could be mustered. And the size of the army is rather large. So nobody's going to mess with the Israelites. All right, let's and the purpose of this census is not just to find out how many people, but to figure out what the strength of the army is. All right, verse 47. The ancestral tribe of the Levites, however, was not counted along with the others. The Lord had said to Moses, "You must not count the tribe of Levi or include them in the census of the other Israelites. Instead, appoint the Levites to be in charge of the tabernacle of the covenant law, over all its furnishings and everything belonging to it. They are to carry the tabernacle and all its furnishings. They are to take care of it and encamp around it. And whenever the tabernacle is to move, the Levites are to take it down, and whenever the tabernacle is to be set up, the Levites shall do it. Anyone else who approaches it is to be put to death. The Israelites are to set up their tents by division, each of them in their own camp under their standard. The Levites, however, are to set up their tents around the tabernacle of the covenant law so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelite community. The Levites are to be responsible for the care of the tabernacle of the covenant law." And the Israelites did all this just as the Lord had commanded Moses. And we'll find out in the next chapter kind of the layout of all this. But basically, the Levites they don't get their own little tribe off to the side. They are attached to the tabernacle. So wherever the tabernacle goes, the Levites go with the tabernacle. And when the tabernacle is set up, it's the Levites that set it up. When it's taken down, the Levites take it down. There needs to be a whole contingency of people that wander with the tabernacle to make sure that the tabernacle is central to the life of Israel. And it's the Levites that take care of it. The Levites will not get their own land. They're always associated with the tabernacle. They're the ones assigned to it, basically. And this shows God's importance of the tabernacle. God wants everyone to know that the Israelite community is centered around the tabernacle. Now, a couple things to point out. In the early church of the Middle Ages, as new communities were developed, the first thing that was developed in the community was the local church. Let's say, for example, you're in England and you move out of London and you go into the countryside and you find a plot of land and say, at some point, people will move to this plot of land. Well, where are we going to put the church first? So you plant the church and you say it's going to be on this location. Oftentimes it's elevated, and then the people gather around it. And this is whatever is center to your community becomes center to your community. And since everybody would go to church, that makes a good center for the community. And then eventually around these churches, you would have businesses pop up, because if you're going into the church as a central location to the town, why not put shopping in the central location of town? This is kind of how towns organically developed for thousands of years. And the idea that the church is the center of the town goes all the way back to this idea of the tabernacle being the center of Jewish life. And it's kind of cool that they can take this tabernacle and move it anywhere they want to. So if they're in a location that they don't like, maybe the water well runs dry, or the river runs dry, or the land is not producing crops anymore, the whole community can just pick up and move someplace else. And once they move someplace else, they set up the tabernacle, and the whole town centers around the tabernacle, and it moves again. Jennifer and I, just as an aside, we were watching a show, and it was about a very, very cold community up near the Arctic. And I can't remember what the name of the show was. This was maybe during COVID 2 or 3 years ago. And it was a drama show. I think there was a murder involved, and the whole idea was to find out. The police department was set up to try to figure out who the murderer was in this small little community. And they were talking about something, and the person was upset, and the person said tabernacle. And the way that this person, I think it was a guy, the way he said it, almost like he was saying a curse word. I'm like, that's interesting. I never heard that before. But apparently, it is a curse word. In some communities, like in French Quebec, there one of the curse words that you can say, like some of our really serious curse words, are all based upon things that come out of the church, including the tabernacle. And so this is it's a very offensive word that you can say in the French Quebec language, is to say tabernacle. And it's like saying a curse word in the United States, which I've never heard of that before. And the idea of using a common word in the vernacular of the church, like tabernacle, and then turning it into a curse word, I've never even considered that as a possibility, but apparently it is. So be careful the words that you use when you go to different countries. And I think you have to really, really, really dwell and sit in that language for a long time before that word becomes offensive. If it ever does. I don't know. I wish I knew somebody who's French Canadian that could tell me how offensive that word is. Because I may have just really, really offended a bunch of French Canadians right now. All right. All right, let's so anyone who approaches the tabernacle, if you're not in the tribe of Levi, you get put to death. That is a very, very severe punishment. The thing about punishments, and I think I've said this before when we went through Leviticus, just because it has a punishment doesn't necessarily mean that there was that punishment. When you go to seminary, there is an idea of what's called law and gospel. And the purpose of the law is to act as a guardrail, that you set a punishment. You say, do not do these things because this is the punishment. And the whole idea of setting that up is also, I mean, obviously you don't want people doing it, but the punishment it's a fear factor. It's to prevent people from doing something. And the level of the punishment is indicative of the severity of the crime of which you are committing. But it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody was killed for these things. It's to act as and we do the same thing in the United States today. We will put laws on the books, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if somebody commits that crime, that law will come down on them completely. If they're a first-time offender, if it was accident, if, there's all these different ways of kind of mitigating the maximum punishment. And it doesn't show up here, but just because it says if you get close to the tabernacle, you'll be put to death, it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody was ever put to death. And if they were, it may have been only one person, and that one person may have been put to death to be an example to the rest of the tribe to say, we're serious about this, don't do it. And nobody else would ever do it then at that point. And this is the importance of a judge. The judge is the one that has to determine whether or not this rises and elevates to the condition of being put to death because you're approaching the tabernacle. It seems like a crazy thing to us. And we have this image of people approaching the tabernacle and armed guards sitting there and shooting them and killing them. And it would not necessarily, the purpose of the law, of any law, obviously is to maintain justice and order, but it's also to act as a deterrent, to make sure nobody does it. Just because the law is on the books doesn't necessarily mean that anybody is going to have this punishment on them. And even if they do, it would be very, 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 very low numbers. Maybe once in a generation. But it is to prevent people from following, from doing the thing that God does not want to be done. All right, let's go on. Go to chapter 2 of Numbers, and this is the arrangement of the tribal camps. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, the Israelites are to camp around the tent of meeting, some distance from it, each of them under their standard and holding the banner of their family. So when you get to the tent of meeting and it's erected by the Levites, then the tribes are arranged around the tent of meeting, and each tribe has a standard, which is a stick with their emblem on it. And that's so it kind of acts as a roadmap. It's like, I need to go over to somebody in the tribe of Judah. Where is the tribe of Judah? Well, we always know where the tribe of Judah is going to be placed around the tabernacle. So internally, it's like a map that's set up. And no matter where that tabernacle goes, the map is set up the same way. It's kind of like a floating city with a map. And it doesn't say what happens if there's rivers or wadis or anything like that. I'm sure they had to find an open level place to get all these people. All right. Verse 3. On the east, towards the sunrise, the divisions of the camp of Judah are to encamp under their standard. The leader of the people of Judah is Nashon, son of Amminadab. His division number is 74,600. The tribe of Issachar will camp next to them. The leader of the people of Issachar is Nathanael, son of Zuar. His division numbers 54,400. The tribe of Zebulun will be next. The leader of the people of Zebulun is Eliab, the son of Helon. His division numbers 57,400. All of the men assigned to the camp of Judah, according to division numbers 186,400, they will set out first. On the south side will be the division of the camp of Reuben under their standard. The leader of the people of Reuben is Elizur, son of Shadur. His division numbers 46,500. The tribe of Simeon will camp next to them. The leader of the people of Simeon is Shalumiel, son of Zurishaddai. His division numbers 59,300. The tribe of Gad will be next. The leader of the people of Gad is Eliasaph, son of Deuel. His division numbers 45,650. All the men assigned to the camp of Reuben, according to their divisions, is 151,450. They will set out second. Then the tent of meeting and the camp of the Levites will set out in the middle of the camps. They will then set out in the same order as they encamp, each with their own place under their standard. On the west will be the divisions of the camp of Ephraim under their standard. The leader of the people of Ephraim is Elishama, son of Ammihud. His division number is 40,500. The tribe of Manasseh will be next to them. The leader of the people of Manasseh is Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. His division number is 32,200. The tribe of Benjamin will be next. The leader of the people of Benjamin is Abidan, son of Gideoni. His division number is 35,400. All the men assigned to the camp of Ephraim, according to their division number 1,800. They will set out third. On the north will be the divisions of the camp of Dan under their standard. The leader of the people of Dan is Ahiezer, son of Ammishaddai. His division numbers 62,700. The tribe of Asher will camp next to them. The leader of the people of Asher is Pagiel, the son of Okran. His division number is 41,500. The tribe of Naphtali will be next. The leader of Naphtali is Ahira, son of Enan. His division number is 53,400. All of the men assigned to the camp of Dan number 157,600. They will set out last under their standards. These are the Israelites counted according to their families. All the men in the camps by their division number is 603,550. The Levites, however, were not counted along with the other Israelites, as the Lord commanded Moses. So the Israelites did everything the Lord commanded Moses. That is the way they encamped under their standards, and that is the way they set out, each of them with their clan and family. So we see that there's an assigned location around the tabernacle, and even as they're going, which is kind of handy. So you find a kid 10 years old and you say, what tribe are you with? And I don't know, I've lost my family. Well, which tribe? I'm with the tribe of Judah. Okay, well, Judah is at the beginning of the line. I'm with the tribe of Benjamin. Benjamin's at the end of the line. So, I mean, it is kind of neat to have a roadmap to talk about all these things. And I have a picture here. People have driven or designed. Let's look at this. This is every time the tabernacle is set up, you have that in the middle, the Levites around that, and then you have the 12 tribes around east, south, west, and north. And this is how they live for 40 years. I hope they don't pick up camp a whole number. I mean, I'm hoping they pick up camp. I mean, it would take a lot to set all this up. So I hope they stay in each place at least, a couple years, maybe even a generation or two. Who knows? But it does really make it kind of cool, right? To have this floating city that always is in the same layout. I find that just absolutely fascinating and very, very, very helpful. All right. So that is from Biblical Scholarship, WordPress.com. I don't know how I found that map, but it's kind of cool map. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there. We are in Numbers chapter 2. We just finished that, so we'll get into Numbers chapter 3 at the next session. Let's go ahead and close in prayer. Gracious God, thank you for this beautiful day and for the rain. And watch over us until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, thank you so much. Good to see you all. Moving over here, all of you online. Oh, we have Waymo cars here in the Phoenix area that do that, but they all stopped working in the rain. That could be a problem. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm not saying any of this is perfect, but I think over the next number of years, it will get better and better and better. And I do believe that the whole idea of autonomy will be solved in my lifetime, most likely within the next 5 years. And I think we'll start seeing it like Waymos kind of all throughout the world. And it's going to be interesting to see how this all works, especially if the price can come down. Because if you can get the price down to something quite reasonable, I don't know if millennials are not millennials, Gen Xers, Gen Zers. There's a generation out there that does. I guess it is the millennials. They don't like driving. They don't want to drive. They don't want a house. I don't know. It's that generation. All right. So thank you for joining me. God's richest blessings on you. Stay dry, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.